Hello everyone, welcome all to today's satsang. Nice to see all of you. Today we will start our schedule with an hymn by Isaac and a song by Beth. Then we have a talk by Michael and a talk by Lisette. Then we will proceed to a short Diane session. And finally we will watch our beloved Father videos on YouTube. And we will meditate with love and devotion. Thank you all so much. We can start now.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Ramuna Tira Banachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Ramuna Tira Banachari Ishwarji Ishwarji Ishwar Puri Sadguru Ishwarji Ishwarji Ishwar Puri Sadguru Guruji 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 Ishwar Puri Ishwar Puri Ishwar Puri Guruji 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 Ishwarji 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 Guruji Ishwarji 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 Guruji Purnima. Happy Purnima, all satsangis of the world. Ishwaji, Guruji, Ishwaji, Guruji, Ishwaji, 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 Guruji, Guruji, Guruji.
Wash my spirit, Lord, make it clean and new. Bathe it with your love, till all I see is you. You are everywhere, sparkling within. Your fragrance is so sweet, I scarce can take it in. Wash my spirit, Lord, brush it with your breath. Fill me with your peace, my soul hungereth. Open up my heart, take away my will, create in me a space that only you can fill. Wash my spirit, Lord, make it clean and new.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Thank you for Isaac and Beth, Ishwarji, Guruji. That was marvelous. And Beth, wash my spirit, Lord, make it clean and new. I love that one too. Your voices are so beautiful and so relaxing, and you guys are a gift from God to satsang. So just wonderful. The Shabd is wonderful, and it just starts the satsang. That welcome my holy family to the sea of sweetness, the sea of sweetness and pleasure, where our hearts change into pearls. Our hearts change into pearls in the satsang of the perfect masters, that we get drenched with the nectar of the Lord, We get drenched with the nectar of the Lord. With the Guru is the nectar which thou hast come into this world. That we only came to this world in the human body to get this nectar. And this nectar is only found with the Guru. And what is the Guru? The Guru is the Shabd. And the disciple is the soul to this melody. That the disciple is the soul of this melody, this Shabd. This is what the Guru is. The Guru is the Shabd. The outer manifestation of the Guru as a human might grow old and grow old in age, but in his inner essence, Shabd, he is never aged, and he is his internal being is beyond the change of the phenomena of this world. That we are the disciples of that Shabd, that divine melody that lives in the Master. And this Shabd, this divine melody never grows old, never leaves us, and with us till the end of the world. Shams Tabriz said, I am an old lover. I am an old lover. When the world was not, I was. When Adam was not, I was. When Eve was not, I was. I'm an old lover. I am an old lover. What is God before me? I am an old lover. And he was saying, what is God before me? He meant that he was here before the world was created. And the God of this world, which is called Brahm or Om, the three deities that create, sustain, and destroy this world. Shams Tabriz says, I'm an old lover. I was here before them. Because his inner self was one with the Shabd. And the perfect disciple, whose inner self is one with the Shabd, these mystics, these disciples, they are the sovereign lords of the creation. They are the masters of all the creation, the masters of the universe. That anyone who becomes one with Shabd, his inner being becomes one with Shabd. This Shabd, which is the origin of all creation, this Shabd, you can call it Sat Purush, the Lord, the absolute being, is the creator of all. And this Shabd was there before this world was created, before Adam came to this world, and before Eve came to this world, and before the gods that create, sustain, and destroy, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, were created. Shabd was there. And we will become one with Shabd. So when we are connected to Shabd, even these deities, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer, when we go in the inner region, they will come to us and they will bow to us. They will bow their head to us. Why do they bow their head to us? Because we are a disciple of the perfect master. And disciples of the perfect master, that's it. They are connected with absolute God. They are connected with the absolute power that created this whole universe, Satpurush, the primordial power, the essence of all creation. And because we are connected with that essence, with that Shabd, with that Nam, our inner eyes have been opened, our inner ear has been opened by the grace of the Master. We are connected with the holy light and the holy sound. We are so blessed in the Holy Bible. Jesus says that blessed are you because you hear and you see what the old prophets did not. That we are very, very special in the creation of Lord God. We don't know how special we are. We are very, very special that even the deities, the gods and the goddesses, the angels, all come to our feet. Why? Because we are connected with the creator of all. We are connected with the manifestation of the Shabd, which is the perfect living master. We can help those deities. we can help those deities, we can help the creator of this world, Brahma, we can help Vishnu, and we can help Shiva. That's how powerful, how glorious the disciple of a perfect master is. Because if those three deities have our darshan, then they also will be blessed by our master who lives in us, by that Shabd power that lives in us, that we are connected to, and they will be given a human birth. And at some point, they will meet a perfect living master, and they will also be released from the cycle of suffering and from the cycle of birth, suffering, death. That the saints and masters say in their poetry, "Oh, my kept bird, don't look at the trap, but look at the one who set the trap. In this way, you can become seekers, searchers of absolute truth." That, "Oh, my kept bird" means, "Oh, my spirit, don't look at the trap, which is this body that we are trapped in, but look at the one who set the trap." And when we look at the one who set the trap, then we are searchers, we are seekers of the absolute. And any trap, no matter how deep it is, even if it's as deep as a well, then God can change it for us into heaven. Even if this well, this trap is full of garbage and thorns, he can change it into a rose garden, which was the shabd of my dear sister Beth. "Wash my spirit, Lord, make it clean, and make it clean and make it new." That this shabd is the same as I'm saying, that God can change this trap that we are in and make it into a fragrant flower, make it into a rose garden, and make it into a heaven. That even if it's a trap, it can be made into heaven. Remember the story of Joseph? The story of Joseph when he fell into the well, when he didn't fall into the well, his brothers were very jealous from him. I'll tell you the story a little bit. But when they threw him in the well, there is a voice that came to him from inside. Why? Because Joseph was a lover of God. Joseph was so much in love with God that he could hear God speaking inside of him. He could hear his inner master. He could hear the voice of the soul. He could hear that inner master in him. And when he was in the well, the news came to him and said, "I will take care of you. Do not worry. You, my dear, tired and sick child, I will take care of you. I am preparing your medicine. I am preparing your medicine. I am cleaning your house. I am cleaning your house. I am overpowering, and my power is everywhere. I am omnipresent, omniscient, and overpowering. I am mighty, and if I order a stone to float, it will float. I can put life into the stone. I can make opposites from opposites. I can make nothing into something." When Joseph heard that voice when he was in the well, he was comforted. He was comforted and he was not worried. He was not worried whatsoever. So the story goes that Joseph was the son of Jacob, and he had 12 brothers and sisters, and he was the 11th, and he had a younger brother. His name was Benjamin, and because he was wise and because he had the light of God on him, his father Jacob loved him so much and spent so much time with him. And on his 17th birthday, he gave him a robe that was full of the colors of the rainbow. And when he gave him that robe, then his brothers got so jealous from him that, "Look, that our father is just like loving him more than us, and we are doing the hard work in the fields, and he does not appreciate us." And when he gave him that robe, they became so jealous, like jealousy took over them. that, which jealousy is a very dangerous thing, as the saints and masters teach us, that it is one of the vices, that greed and jealousy. They were so jealous from him, they started planning to get rid of him. They started planning to get rid of him. One day, his father sent him to the field to find his brothers. And when he went to the field to find his brothers, he told them, look, look, I had a dream last night. I had a dream last night, and I want to tell you the dream. And then they said, what is your dream? And he said that I dreamt that my shaft, which is like the bundle of grains, that my shaft was standing and all your shafts were bowing to my shaft. And then I had another dream that the sun and the moon and the stars were bowing to me. Once they heard this, they were telling him, oh yeah, you think you're gonna become our ruler, we're gonna bow to you. So that's it. They said, let's get rid of him. One of his brothers felt sorry for him and said, no, 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 let's not kill him. Let's not kill him. He's our flesh and blood. Let's just put him in this well, throw him in this well for a while until we figure out what we will do to him. And then this brother, who was feeling guilty, I think went for a walk. And as he went for a walk, his brothers were saying, well, we could kill him, but maybe it's better if there was a group of merchants from Egypt that was passing. They said, maybe it is better if we sell him. That way we can have some money. So then they sold him to the Egyptian merchants for 20 silver coins. And they killed a goat and they put his robe that his father gave him on the blood of the goat. And they told his father that Joseph died and he was killed by a wild beast. And here is his robe. And his father was very, 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 very sad and started crying and was not happy. So this Joseph story is a very, very mystical story. It just, when we read behind the lines, we can learn a lot. So then he was sent to Egypt, and he was, one of the assistants of the pharaohs bought him, and he was the slave, but he loved him so much. He loved him so much because he was doing his duty, and he was so wise. But what happened? The wife of that servant of the pharaoh had an eye on Pharaoh because he was very, very handsome, and she wanted him. She wanted to sleep with him. However, Pharaoh, because he's a lover of God, and he was content, and he didn't want anything like that because he was loyal. He was loyal to his master, and he did not want to displease his master. He refused her, and he said, "How could I commit this big sin?" That in the eyes of the Lord is it's a huge sin that has big punishment behind it. I cannot do this. But she was very angry and she was very mad when she couldn't get what she wanted. So when she tried again to do that to him, and then he ran away and she kept his garment and she started screaming, and then her husband heard her screaming and said, "What's happened?" And she said, "Well, Joseph came and he was trying to make love to me, and I had his garment and I started screaming." And then the master, he was very mad and he put him in jail. But when he put him in jail, also he was very wise in jail, that all the people in jail came to him for his wisdom. And one time, one of the persons in jail had a dream, and he could not understand the dream, so he came to Joseph, and Joseph said, "Oh yeah, I can interpret your dream. Not me, but God in me. God in me, my inner master, can interpret your dream as he speaks through me." God spoke through the mouth of his holy prophets since time began. So he told them, my inner master, my God, can interpret your dream. And he interpreted the dream. And he told that person in prison that in 3 days you will be taken out of prison and you will be put back as a servant of the Pharaoh. You will be pardoned. But please tell the Pharaoh about me don't forget about me. However, the servant was released, and the dream came true exactly what Joseph told him. However, he forgot about Joseph, and Joseph stayed 2 years in prison. But one day, the Pharaoh had a dream. The Pharaoh had a dream, and nobody could interpret his dream. And the servant remembered Joseph in jail, and he told him, there is a very wise man in jail, and he will interpret your dream. So they took him out of the dungeon, and they bathed him, and they gave him new clothes, and they took him to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh saw his light, because for those 2 years he was meditating in the dungeon. He was meditating in the prison, and he had so much power, so much God's light on him, that the Pharaoh was mesmerized with him. And he told him his dream. He said, I had a dream that there is 7 fat cows, and then out of the Nile River came 7 thin cows, and they swallowed those seven fat cows. And Joseph closed his eyes, and he said, yes, my God inside of me will interpret your dream. Not me, but God inside of me will interpret your dreams. And I will tell you exactly what's going to happen. Your dream is symbolic. It's a message from God. And what God is telling you, that there will be 7 years of abundance, where the grains will be full, your land will be bountiful. But then after these 7 years, there will be 7 years of famine, 7 years of nothingness, 7 years of nothingness, and your people will suffer. Everybody around Egypt will suffer. All the countries around Egypt will be hit by famine. And then the Pharaoh was so happy with him that he told him, okay, I will put you in charge of this project to save Egypt from the famine. And he gave him authority, and he became a ruler in Egypt, and just like beneath the Pharaoh, like a ruler beneath the Pharaoh. And everybody loved him, and he took care that they stored everything for 7 years. They stored all the grains to save Egypt from the 7 years of famine. And then when the famine hit, it also hit the land of Canaan. It hit the land where his brothers and his father Jacob was living. So his father sent his brothers to go to Egypt and to buy some grain to save them from famine. So they went to Egypt, and when they were in front of him, they saw him. He did not, he recognized them at once, but they did not recognize him. And he acted very, very rudely towards them. And he said, you are spies. You are coming here to destroy this land and to spy on this land. So I think what happened, he told them, he put them in jail for 3 days because he told them they are spies. And then he said, okay, now you can go back to your land of Canaan, and I'm going to keep one of your brothers here, and you come back, bring your father with you, and bring your youngest son, the youngest brother Benjamin, with you. And then they went to their land, and they told their father, and they all came. They all came, and in the story it says that his father, which was blind, could smell him, like when they came to release their brother and get more grain, because he said, I will not release your brother, you will not see my face unless you bring your father and your younger brother and Benjamin. And so they all came with the father, and the father could smell his scent of his son Joseph, and he was so happy. And they bowed down to him. They bowed down to him just like the dream. His brothers bowed down to him, just like the dream. Anyway, it's a happy ending story where they all live together. But I was saying the story that God can change everything, that Master can change everything. He can clean our house, and he can change nothing into something, that he can order anything. And when we are with the Master, when we are reposed in the Master, then we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear because our Father is almighty. And we are beyond the law of karma, that he has annihilated our sin-shit karma from the past lives, and we just have to go through this karma. But in this karma that we are going through, in this destiny karma we are going through, it is mitigated to a certain extent. The more we develop ourselves in master, the more we become deep in master, the more we fill our trust with master, we have more trust and more faith with master, then our karma of this life will be mitigated to a great extent, that we will not feel the pain and the suffering of this world. There is another story that I think maybe one time I told it to you a long time ago, but it's the story of the king who can move his beard. There is a story of a king, and this king, it's a short story. I won't take too long, but it shows also the power of the master. You have to read beneath the storylines and see what master can do for us. This king, who had a beard, who had a white beard, probably he looked like Baba Sawansing. He wanted to see how his kingdom is doing, so he went in disguise at night to see how things are going in his kingdom. As he was walking, he met a group of thieves. He met a group of thieves. And this group of thieves, he started to talk to them, and he told them, "What are you guys doing?" So they thought, he's just because it was night time, they thought that he's also a thief. And they told him, "We are a group of thieves. You want to join us? We are planning a robbery tonight." So he said, "Sure, I will join you." Well, they said, "We are trying to make a leader out of us, because it's good to have a leader. And everyone can say what he's good at, and we will choose a leader." So the first one said, "Oh, I can make the best ladders. And when I put them in place at once, and then we can climb the walls. So I make the best ladders." The second one said, "Well, I can go through walls." The third one said that I can read the language of animals. I can read the language of animals. Whatever the animals say, and because I can read the language of animals, this could help us a lot. Then another one said, if I lay my eyes on any person, I can recognize that person. Even if I see them only once and I see them again, after a month, I can recognize them. So then they asked the king, what is your trait that you're good at? And he said, "Well, I can only do one thing. If I move my beard from one side to the other, I can save hundreds of people from being hanged, from the noose of the hang. I can save them just by moving my beard." Well, they said, "Wow, this is the best trait out of us all. You are our leader." So then they said, "Oh, we are going to rob the palace of the king." So they went to the palace of the king to rob the palace of the king. The dog started barking. When the dog started barking, they asked the guy that reads the language of the animals, "Why is this dog barking? What is he saying?" He's saying the dog is saying that the king is among you. So they all looked strange, and they said, that cannot be true. We are all here thieves. How could the king be among us?" So anyway, there was another guy who could smell treasure. His trait was he could smell treasure and tell them where the treasure is. They used that guy after they went over the wall with the guy who can put ladders and the guy who can go through walls. They used the third guy that can smell treasure. And so they knew where the treasure is, and they stole the treasure, and they ran away from the palace. When they ran away from the palace, they divided the booty among all of them, and each one went to his home, and the king went to his palace. In the morning, he ordered the guards to come and seize the thieves. So they arrested the thieves, and he told them, "Okay, take them to be hung." And, and when they were taken to be hung, the guy that can recognize anybody, he looked at the king, because the king was standing there when they were supposed to be hanged, and he recognized the king. And he said, "Oh, you are the king that was with us last night. Please have mercy on us. You told us if you move your beard from one side to the other, you can save all of us from the hang. And the king had pity on them because he developed relation with them. He liked them. So he moved his beard from one side to the other and he pardoned all of them. And they all started, instead of becoming thieves, they started working in his kingdom. They started to work for him. That they gave up their old habits and they started to work for the king, who saved them by moving his beard. And that is, this king that moved his beard is exactly like the perfect living man, the perfect master. The perfect master, what does he do? If he moves his beard, if he gives an order for any person to be saved, even if he lays his eyes on one person, that person is under his refuge. That person is under his protection. And anybody who comes in the protection of the perfect living master, then they are saved from the noose of they are saved from being hung. And what are we saved from when we took refuge in the perfect living master? We are saved from thousands and thousands of years of hells. All our karmas are being pardoned, and we will live with the king. Just like they lived, those thieves lived with the king, we will also live with the King of Kings in his kingdom, which is the kingdom of God, that we will enjoy forever for eternity. So when Hafiz said, you don't know how beautiful you are, I could set you on a stage and worship you forever. It is true that the disciples of the perfect of the perfect master, I mean, he's always living in us. I keep saying living because I keep forgetting that he's living in us forever. The disciples of of the perfect master are saved from all agonies of the three worlds. They are taken out from the suffering creation into the creation that is full of love, full of joy, and full of ecstasy. So that's why the masters say, come drink my wine, because the wine of this world will make you sick, it will make you hungover, and it will make you feel bad. But come drink my wine, because my wine is different. My wine is not from this world. It will never make you sick. It will never give you a hangover, and it will only nourish your soul and make it strong in God. So, this
power. But the fact it has been actually executed by creating several worlds, several universes, including the universe we sit in now, the physical universe of matter and energy. This physical world consists of matter and energy, and we study how it is created, and we try to look at the creation outside. We look at the structure of the atoms, structure of the molecules, and the basic nature of energy. We try to study what is space and time. What is the nature of time? We spend so much time in studying this, little realizing that what we are doing is no different than going to sleep at night, have a wonderful dream, and then start measuring what things are in the dream and start analyzing what the dream is composed of. We try to see what the matter in the dream consists of. And so we suddenly wake up and find that exercise was not really necessary, because all those laws of creation, laws of physics, were created in one go from consciousness. They did not require to be assembled in the way we thought they would be. When can one know, when examining a dream, whether you should study the dream in its details? We study a dream, we are sitting in a room. You're seeing what kind of room it is. Let's measure it. We can spend the whole dream time in measuring the room, seeing what carpet is appropriate for it, buy a carpet, place it on the room, and then wake up and find there was no room, there was no carpet, and we had an experience. We had an experience of seeing a room and laying down a carpet. But supposing we spent all our time studying the nature of the dream and going into details of what exists there, and wake up, we'll feel sorry for ourselves that we spent too much time in studying something that was created by a different principle than we thought. The principle of all creation, of every kind of experience, is the principle that consciousness can be conscious of anything it wants to be. So our reality is consciousness. From that arises all experiences, or all levels of consciousness. If we are pure consciousness, what name can we give to ourselves? What name can you give to a power that is creative? It can not only create anything, it can then experience what it creates. And it can do both things simultaneously. It creates and experiences at the same time. That's the power of consciousness. What word would properly describe that amazing power? Consciousness does not describe it, because consciousness only means being conscious of something. Consciousness is being used as a word equivalent to awareness, whereas awareness is a very small part of consciousness. Consciousness is the creative power, awareness is not. Therefore, when we try to find a word to describe consciousness, we fail. What do? When we fail, we have to use some word to describe something so powerful, with so much creative power, it can create any experience. So for want of any word, we use the word word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. How much more can you say about a word? Word with W, capital, words that created everything. I'm not quoting from the Bible. I'm quoting from the Rig Veda, just translating it for you in English. The Rig Veda says, in the beginning was the Nad. Nad means the sound. All things were made by that Nad, and nothing was made that was not made by Nad. That was written, scripted, several thousand years earlier, before the compilation of John's Gospel in the Bible. But the statements are the same. When you look at all religions and spiritual disciplines, you find that they all had the same problem. How could you describe the power of consciousness, which is the only reality? Everything else is created by consciousness and is experienced by consciousness. So it's very difficult. But there is one thing which struck people who experienced themselves, who were able to find out who they really were. The mystics, the saints, those who went within themselves to study consciousness inside and not what we were experiencing outside. When they began to analyze what consciousness is, they found a very wonderful thing. That consciousness that operates as a power, creative power, and also an experiencing power, that consciousness can be heard, can be listened to. Now that's an amazing thing. We thought there is no way to just find out what consciousness is. We didn't even have a word for it. But we found that when it comes down to the level of the physical plane of creation, in which we are all sitting here, that consciousness can be heard. It's audible. And if you find it is audible, that gives you the most wonderful method of discovering who you are. Because if it is audible, you can listen to it. That means your highest self. You can say you have this self and you have a higher self. And then you have the higher and higher self. Ultimately, you have the highest self possible. The highest self, you can listen to it. That means we have been given a great capacity of listening by which we can discover every part of creation and every part of ourselves. That we can discover who we really are just by using the power of listening. How has this power of listening been placed into us in the physical world. Let's start from here. Let's start from where we are. We are in human bodies. These human bodies have brain, have sensory systems. They have all the autonomous systems working to keep it alive. The heart beats autonomously. The mind in the brain thinks autonomously. All other lymphatics and other systems work autonomously, automatically. We don't direct them to do it. And then on top of that, we give directions to some things which we can do, and we give directions to our attention, where to place our attention. That's the only real thing where we use our direction. Otherwise, the life is being sustained in our physical body by itself, by autonomous means. And therefore, when we want to give a direction, the means of giving direction is to use our attention. Attention, go there. Attention, study this. Attention, withdraw. Attention, look at the book. It is only our attention that we are using. Therefore, we have this very great capacity of using our attention. Our attention is the most valuable gift we have. There's nothing to compare with it. If we didn't have attention, we could do nothing at all in any area, either in this life or any other life or on spiritual path. It's the power of attention, which can be placed wherever we like, that gives us the opportunity to discover ourselves by placing the attention upon ourselves. Now, when we want to place our attention on our highest self, our true self, which is pure consciousness, how do we do it? Having discovered that we can listen to consciousness, we place our attention where we can listen to consciousness or bring it as close to it as possible. It doesn't take too long to know for a physical human being that consciousness is operating from inside the head of a person. It's quite clear that if you were to figure out that you are just one point, you are not a bigger body than just 0 point, where would that point be in the physical body? It is not in the hands or the feet or the legs or the torso. You get closer and closer just by simple contemplation. You find it somewhere in the head. Where exactly in the head? If you just close your eyes and say, where am I if I am merely a point? It does not take too long to know you are behind these eyes at this level. You are neither above nor below. You are not in front at the eyes, you are behind. It doesn't take too long to sit and contemplate, where am I if I am just one point? That point is very significant, because that point is where consciousness is operating from now in the physical body. The whole of it is operating from there. Not that some is there and some somewhere else in different levels of consciousness. That there is a true home somewhere we have to go right up. The whole thing is completely in that one single point with no dimension right behind our eyes. What a wonderful news. When one gets to know this, solves a lot of intellectual problems, solves the problem of the mind questioning whether it is true or not true. Don't question, don't ask anybody, go in and see. That's where you are. You can't find any other place. You can check as hard as you like. You can say, where is my attention flowing from? My attention which is coming from my consciousness, where does it originate? From where is it coming? Just think of it, visualize it, contemplate upon it, and find out where does it come from. We will all come to the conclusion it's coming from within the body, within the head, behind the eyes, at a certain point, almost between the ears and a little bit behind these physical eyes. That point has been called in many literatures the point. In the Islamic literature, I found they use the word nukta. Nukta means a point. They say, go to the nukta, go to the point. In some, they have said the third eye center. center of consciousness. So whatever description you give to it, these are words, but the truth is we are all talking about the same thing which lies behind our eyes and the whole of our consciousness. All the power to create that has taken place outside in the physical world, as well all the power that creates our true home, Sachkhand, and all the power that creates the astral cause and other planes, all the power that creates the feeling of a soul and a total soul and super soul, all that power is lying right now, at this moment, behind the eyes in a single point. That's amazing. More amazing is that we can access that by listening to it. Now, I must clarify that listening is not hearing. I'm not using the word hearing. Hearing is with these outside ears, the eardrum, and all the nerves that go from the drum to the brain, that's hearing. I'm not talking of hearing at all. This hearing is designed only to hear what's happening outside. We sometimes hear inside sounds, mostly gurgling in the belly and some other, and breathing of the sound of breathing in the lungs. But that is not meant by listening. Hearing is with these external ears. Listening is, how do we listen to consciousness? We listen to consciousness with consciousness. There's no other capacity. Consciousness is the ability to be conscious of anything it wants to be. The power of attention is to place that power of consciousness anywhere we like. So what do we need to do? The whole spiritual path can be condensed into this single statement that put your attention and make it listen to consciousness behind the eyes. Period. I've stated the whole spiritual path right now. The more you listen to your own self, with the power of listening that is also available right within yourself, you don't go anywhere outside at all. You don't even move 1 millimeter away from where you are to listen to where you are. It's all inside at one point. It's not even spread out. It's just one single spot behind the eyes, the third eye center, where you have to go and you find everything you have to find. Everything you want to find is available right there. Somebody sent me a nice picture of a globe and wrote underneath that, we are not a drop in the ocean, we are the whole of the ocean in a drop. I like that because that represents the truth. The truth is that we are not one being, one separated soul, sitting somewhere far away from our home. We have the whole home, we have our truth, we have all the creation that has taken place everywhere, and we have enclosed all that within one little spot behind our eyes. There is nothing existing outside of it, except the experience. Now, this is interesting that the power of consciousness should be conscious of experiences that we create. It has created a series of experiences, very interesting, adventurous, beautiful. I'd like you to join me in traveling through all those experiences. But when you travel through the experiences, it'll also take you back to where the original experience took place. Let's start from where we are in this physical world. We see the world of matter, world of physics and chemistry. We see the world of biology. We see life as we can see outside. Is it really coming as a created world that then goes through our sense perceptions and then we come to know there's a world? Or is there some little difference there? There's a little difference. The difference is, it is not coming from outside, inside. It is being created by consciousness and then being experienced by consciousness at the same time. Philosophers have examined this for a long time. The philosophers have questioned, if I look at a tree, is the tree there because I'm looking at it, or I'm looking at it because it's there independently? They had to question this. when we look at a tree, how do we look at a tree? In terms of physical reality, this particular reality we are sitting in, because consciousness has created many realities, and I am only now talking of the physical reality. In the physical reality, you look at a tree, and you see it there, and you assume the tree was there not before you looked at it, naturally, and that when you turn your head and look at it, it's there. When you turn away, it's not there. When you turn, it's still there. It has to be there all the time. It's so difficult to absorb this thought that the tree is there when you look at it. Therefore, because it is so consistently there, supposing I were to turn and see the tree, green leaves, they turn this way and turn back, it is white leaves. I turn back, it's some blue leaves. Then I would know tree is not real. I am making it up. But if every time I turn around, it's the same green tree with the same leaves with no change, then I assume it's real. Can you imagine that our reality has been defined by no other way but by the consistency of the experience? Because it is consistent, and because we see the same thing over and over again at the same place, because we cannot change anything that we are perceiving, it must be real. And we forget that the same thing happens in a dream. You don't change things in a dream either, and yet it is not real. How come we place so much importance on this experience that it must be real? This is our definition of reality. I want to know, is this cup real? I pick it up, I touch it. Oh yes, my tactile sense says it is real. I sip it. My eyes are confirming. My tactile sense, all my senses are confirming it is real. So it is real. Supposing I see the cup in the dream and I touch it in the dream, it's real. I sip it, it's real. All the sensory system in the dream will make the cup real and say it's real. And I wake up, where is the cup? There was no cup. It was created by the dream. It was created by the dream maker, which is our consciousness, and was perceived and experienced by the dream maker. Now, there is a big catch here. The big catch is that because I could see a cup, and I could touch a cup, I could taste the water, I had the experience of touching, tasting, experiencing, because I had that real experience. It was real. Nobody made it up. I had a real experience of touching the glass and drinking the water. Therefore, I jumped to the next conclusion that because I had that experience of drinking the water, therefore the water must be real and the cup must be real. This ability to jump to the conclusion that because an experience is real, the articles and material things of that experience must also be real, has led us to be duped by the illusion of creation. This is described in some great detail in one of the Indian scriptures, where they describe that the world is Maya or illusion. It's mithya, that illusion that destroys itself. That this illusion is being created so that we can experience it not as illusion, but as reality. There was a very famous philosopher and dance instructor in India, and she was very famous, got many awards, but she was very baffled by this idea of the world being illusion. So she had a chance to discuss with me that I should explain why the scriptures are saying this world is illusion when we don't experience it as illusion. We experience it as reality. Now, when the word Maya is used, we translate it as illusion. That's not true. Maya does not mean illusion. Maya means an experience which makes you believe that the things of experience are real. It has never questioned that the experience is not real. Experience is always real. If you experience something, how can you say it didn't happen? It is happening to you. The experience is always real. But once we jump to the next conclusion that what is external outside of ourselves is also real, that's Maya. All experiences are real because you're having it. You can't deny it. But to jump to the conclusion that what is causing the experience is outside of yourself and consists of these various material things or astral things or causal things at any level. That is the illusion. That is Maya. The illusion does not consist of the fact that it's a shadow world. It's not a shadow world. It's a world created by consciousness in which we have not only created the many characters to participate, the billions of characters in this planet alone, we have also created ourselves as a physical body, as one of the characters. And it is not a show we are seeing at a distance on a stage. It's a show in which we have placed ourselves in a physical body as a character and are sitting right on the stage. Therefore, it becomes very difficult for us to distinguish between an experience we are having and the reality of that experience in terms of external, material, or other things. The experience is always real. That's what's created by consciousness. But consciousness creates this illusion on top of that experience of reality that this experience is arising from something other than from where it is arising. The experience is always arising from within consciousness, never from outside. And the assumption we make through illusion is that the experience is coming from outside. That's the Maya, that's the illusion. That we give the source of experience outside. This was questioned once, that how can you say that the experience occurs prior to the things that we see in that experience? For example, take different, I leave the glass there, take this piece of paper. I look at this paper. Question is, did my consciousness create the paper first and then I saw it? Or I put the paper like this in front of me first and then I saw it? If in terms of time, what happens before must be the cause. What happens later must be the effect. If I saw the paper first and then it came up, then the paper was inside me, not outside. But if I put the paper in front of me and then the process of seeing took place, then the paper must be real. Because if it was there and I didn't see it and I took a process of seeing, when we examine this, it has been examined over and over again. What is the order in which these two things happen? And every time the answer comes up, they were both simultaneous. None of them were either earlier nor later. So you can go either way. You can believe that all experiences of all creation takes place inside you and then you experience it outside. Or you can think that the outside world is first created and you as a listening and experiencing body come up and you experience the world. These two schools of thought, which have been designated as the idealists and the materialists, they have been arguing for 2,000 years on this point and not reached an agreement. The materialists say that the world has to come into existence by some means, and then we have the possibility of coming into this world and experiencing it. And the world will go on for billions of years, and we can come many times, other people will come. So they say, do not question. The materialists say, do not question the absolute existence of this world. The idealists say, no, the world is coming from inside. One of the greatest idealists was Socrates and his disciple Plato. Socrates says that the world of ideas pre-exists the world of matter. He makes it even more simple. He tries to bring to our notice that if you have no idea of a tumbler or a glass, this cannot come here. It won't even be made here. Actually, he gives example of a chair. He says if you don't have an idea of a chair, no chair could ever have been made. Whoever made a chair in the physical world must have had an idea of a chair. He says, therefore, the world of ideas has always preceded the world of matter. It's not possible without ideas to create anything. Whoever created it, whether a carpenter made the chair or it was made from heaven or somewhere, it was made after an idea of a chair was known. In some of his deeper philosophies, Socrates has even mentioned that the world of ideas cannot come unless we have a world of concepts. Because why would you have an idea of a chair if you don't know what the chair is for? But if the conceptual idea is, I need something to sit differently than sitting on the floor, I must have a concept first. And there has to be a different level of concept, and followed by a world of ideas, followed by a world where the ideas can be put into physical practice. So he describes, in fact, the three stages that we've always been talking about: the material stage, the physical world, in which everything has been now solidified because of the ideas we picked up from the astral stage. And the astral stage got all the ideas from the conceptual level of the causal stage of the mind. And there, the whole process of creation ends. Here we have three worlds: the physical, the astral, the causal. Causal creating concepts, concepts trickling down to the astral, astral creating ideas, how to implement them, and the ideas flowing down to the physical, and we create them. There is a very big catch in this. What is an idea of a chair? It is one idea. You can make millions of chairs out of that one idea, and all different. It's not that with one idea you get one project made here. An idea is so powerful that if you have an idea of a chair, you make different varieties of chairs. They all fit that idea. Not only that, if you go to the concept of chair, the concept of sitting on something different, you can make furniture of every kind in the world. These are like seeds that grow into big plants and trees and forests. So, according to these philosophers and these mystics, we have been creating these worlds, in these three worlds, by employing the power of consciousness through devices which we made ahead of time so that they could be fitted in. You can't make a chair if there is no space to put the chair in. So space has to be created before chair. You can't keep a chair here even for a single second if there is no time to place it. So space and time have to be created earlier. Where do we create those? They have to be created before you can have concepts applicable to a physical world. Therefore, the creation of space-time has to precede everything else. In these three levels of creation, the physical, the sensory or astral, or causal, starting with concepts, space has to be created before any of these three will function. So therefore we say space and time are the originators of all experiences. Now, is this a good philosophy? Is this a good theoretical model that they have been developing? They say, no, we are not developing a theoretical model. We are giving you a description of how consciousness has operated to create these experiences at different levels for us. Is it provable? Of course, everything about the Creator cannot be proved. My iPhone gave me a message yesterday. I was trying to use it like a flashlight. That's one of the applications available. But it's wonderful when I try to put the iPhone into the app called flashlight. It lights up, and under that there is some significant quotation about light. Every time it's a new quotation that comes up. So I was very happy to see yesterday's quote, which said, to try to find God with your logic, with your mental logic, is to search for the sun with a little lamp of yours. He says, therefore, logic has a great limitation. And the reason why logic has limitation is it has been created after space and time. It's not created.
My dear Holy Family, it's time to see this old, gorgeous man inside of us and get a glimpse of him inside of us. He's waiting right there. And all this knowledge and wisdom about what he's talking about will be unrevealed to us at some point from within. So let's forget about the world outside and the body below and come up here where this beautiful, gorgeous old man is waiting, Ishwarji. Have few nice words of gratitude for Master. Hold his hand, repeat the holy Simran, the holy names, slowly at intervals with the tongue of thought. I wish you the best meditation. I hope to see you tomorrow for another holy day in Holy Father God. And I'll keep Zoom on for 20 minutes so we can meditate together.